Welcome back. Welcome back. You're talking about the Orlando Magic. The rebuild, I think, is officially over because, man, this team looks special. Projected right now to be the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is way higher than I think a lot of people had going into the season. Slim actually did have them being a top 5 seed, so I will give him credit for that. But shoot 100 shots you don't take, or whatever the fucking phrase is. But
No,
we're going to get
you're
into
looking for blind squirrel finds a nut.
No, I wasn't looking for that one. I was looking
Shoot
for
100 shots you don't take. What do you mean?
It's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
You don't take, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, why are you throwing shade at him? But that's not shade.
I ain't heard the blind squirrel.
That's the Matt classic, dude. Every time he gets a bucket, blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's true. But no, we're going to talk about the Magic, basically about how they got to where they are now and the reasons why they're so successful this season. And just basically at the end of the video, talk about what they need going forward and how the playoffs are going to tell us a lot of what we do need to see moving forward. But just to start off, I mean, they hit in the draft. They had a lot of guys that just didn't really pan out. I mean, they panned out, but not to the level of what they were hoping for. Getting a guy like a Cole Anthony or someone like that was drafted in the lottery that you kind of hoped would be a cornerstone, but depends. The farther down the lottery you go, it's tougher to hit on those guys. But you got the number 1 pick, and you took at the time a ballsy decision to get Paolo, but it looks like it worked out to me. I don't know. I think him and Chet are pretty close, but like to me in my head, Chet's not even a part of that draft class. So to me, Paolo's the clear best player in that draft. And then Franz, like you got him at 12 or right? Or 8. I think it's 8.
It was in the top 10.
It's 8. It's 8. But yeah, like you get the Magic have done a good job of drafting size and versatility, which is why we've seen them become one of the league's best defenses. Just the shot creation from Franz, but not only for himself in this development that he's came out in the draft to now is so different in comparison to what people thought. His comp coming out of the draft was Bielitsa. Think about that.
He's on the Wizards?
I don't think he's in the league anymore.
But he was, yeah, okay.
He was on the Warriors for a bit, but yeah. But like Bielitsa, dude, compared to Franz.
Franz right now, the last month, dude, he averaged 22 points on 48% shooting. Kid's been balling out.
Yeah, he's different. And I think that, their age is really, what is going to shine for the seasons to come. I think that a lot of fans weren't prepared for how well they were going to perform this season. But I think Paolo being the leader that he is, and also Franz as well, adding Jalen Suggs to the mix, which kind of anchors those guys in the defensive mentality that they have to fight and be aggressive. You got a lot of dogs on that team, and I think they have a lot of chemistry, which is what makes them, as much of a threat, not only to the East, but, just moving forward in the league, for them to be a 5 seed right now. I think that, their age, all of those cats are
fourth youngest team in basketball.
Yeah, all of those cats are under 23. Franz, Jalen Suggs, P5, and I think they got a lot more to show.
Yeah, like coming out of the draft, the biggest question with Paolo was, he would look the most NBA quote unquote ready, like body wise. He's 6'8", 6'9", big, like strong, fast guy. That's why in college, he kind of just had this like tunnel vision where I'm just going to go score at all times, opposed to being able to facilitate. And this season just totally put those rumors to bed. Like you just think about people thinking the game more, and just after one season, you can just see it out on the court. Like he picks his spots so much better. He's passing really, really well. And both of Franz and Paolo drafting 2 bigger wings and building around those two has been seen in the past as like an unconventional kind of strategy, but we've seen it work with the Celtics, who are the best team in basketball at the moment. Like there's a way to build around it. And I think Jamal Mosley has these guys buying into the defensive end, which for a young team, if that's the sign of them going to be successful in the future. Can you get a young team to buy in defensively? Because if they can do that, then everything else is going to come with it, because guys that are working on the defensive end are going to want to get theirs on offense. So it just all happens to flow that way.
Before we move off that point about buying in, also just want to throw out there, not only on the defensive end, every single player on that team has bought into their role in its entirety, whether it be on the offensive end or on the defensive end. Guys who I'm sure would love more shine or to take a couple more shots or to take a couple less shots or whatever it may be. Every single player from top to bottom has bought in to the scheme and to kind of like the vision that I'm sure they discussed before the season. And you could tell when teams, this is what we were talking about with the Thunder and the Heat also a couple weeks ago. Like you just have buy-in from guys, and it completely changes the talent level of that team. It could be a 10 seed, it could be a 4 seed. If you got guys who buy in, you're looking at a 4 seed. If you got guys who want to be selfish and play their own games and do whatever, then you're looking at a 10 seed. They're all bought in, which I respect, even though I hate it.
That's a fact. And
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest reason for all of the success this season is because of the defense. Look like one of the defensive powerhouses in the league. You're up there with teams like the Cavs, the Timberwolves, the Knicks. Like they're holding opponents sub 110 points per game, which in this NBA is just really, really hard to do. And it's because of a lot of what the roster is built out of. Jalen Suggs is one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. And
No,
I know
I'll do it. I'm going to publicly take my opinion back. I think
go.
Jalen Suggs is a good player. I think Jalen Suggs is really coming into his own, playing great defense on the ball. I have been on this pod multiple times saying Jalen Suggs is a bum. I think it was an emotional take. We had just lost to them. So I want to renounce that opinion.
Yeah, but this team defensively, the biggest thing for a young team is to do the little things really, really well. And we've seen teams like the Knicks have a lot of success in the playoffs so far, just with this new kind of core just last season, doing these things where they're unbelievable at defensive rebounding. They're amazing at giving up second chance points. Like those things for a young team are normally the killers. Like look at teams like the Pistons or the Hornets. Like they just can't rebound like that. And not being like the biggest, tallest, like guys like Andre Drummond or something like that, being able to rebound that way and just not let up second chance points while also forcing a ton of turnovers to make their offense easier because they don't have a ton of shot creation outside of Paolo and Franz. But I mean, those are two hell of a guys to be able to do it. But like they're top 10 in opponent 3-point percentage on the season. Like the defense is prototypical. How do you stop the new NBA style team? It's rebound the shit out of the ball, play great defense, and don't let them shoot threes at a good clip. Like
you also know with missing threes, you got to get the ball and get it up in transition, which they also do a good job of. I think they're top 10 in transition.
Yeah, they're tough. You got a lot of cats on that team who like my twin just said, really push the pace and have that speed. You know, we talk about Swiper, we talk about Maxi being one of the fastest. You know, some of those cats are some of the fastest people in the league. I say the same thing for a Jalen Suggs and a Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony, especially, I think that he's very, athletic, but very quick on his feet, can jump out the gym. And like I said, like we just got done talking about the Heat and how when you can draft a rookie and they are able to facilitate their role and like my twin said, be able to function with the rest of the team, and sometimes that means taking a sacrifice if you aren't necessarily playing your specific style of game. I think that we're going to see a lot more of that coming from the rookie that they just drafted this season, Anthony Black. I like the cat a lot, and the more that he comes into his role and just moving forward for this seasons following, he has great players to look up to just in P5 and Franz and Jalen Suggs and cats who are older than him, but are also able to, learn with him, which, helps, continue to develop that chemistry. Jalen Suggs leading or not leading the league, but he is 9th in the league in steals. And I think that says a lot about how you not only are playing defense, but just how you push and transition and who you can find, cutting to the basket when you have a big like Franz or P5, being able to run with you. I think that's very special in clutch moments and times where it matters. And that's going to show a lot in the playoffs this season.
Before we move on, because I think it's important, as good as they are, to talk about what they need for next season, I would like to throw out there that Franz and Paolo are both averaging over 20 and both shooting over 45%. And they're both under 24 years old. Just to toss that out there for like a backcourt ceiling, I think they're pretty underrated, even with their success this year. You agree with that, Matt? I feel like they're still being overlooked.
Paolo's played one national TV game.
So, but let's talk about real quick, as good as they are, and all the stuff we said is true, what they need to take themselves to the next level. We all know, if you've seen us talk about the Magic before, I think Mo Wagner is a bum. I think he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that maybe shouldn't even have like an 8 or 9 spot on a bench. Personal opinion. But I think they need to get a center, not necessarily like you mentioned, a Drummond. Like, I don't think that's the fit. I want someone on the timeline of the rest of the team, maybe a draft or maybe like some kind of trade or something. But I think they need to get on somebody who could fulfill that 5 role or big 4.
The best person, just you immediately mentioning that. We talked a little bit about it before. That nigga Jonathan Isaac sucked, but I could see Clax, being an Orlando Finn. I know that. I know that you wouldn't like that. But I think that he's one of those, guys who has that tenacity and plays with that mentality of.
He is 23. He's on the timeline.
So I think that would be a perfect style fit, to be with those guys. And I'm always going to say like a Derek Lively or something like that. So if you can draft well from the forward spot, I think that they could definitely look for, a 4 or a 5 who could play, play the 5, be able to move, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we'll wrap it up here. My biggest thing is they're not very spaced out on offense as a team. Sometimes in the half court, they struggle a little bit just because their offense isn't like, if you look at the numbers, it's not amazing. But if you look at their offense in just the half court, it's a little too slow. And sometimes they can get a little clogged and go on runs where they don't score for a few minutes. It's because they don't really have a guy that can just consistently hit threes, like off the dribble or moving or something like that. Like, they need to make, I don't think that this is a team that needs to make a big splash move like how the Cavs did for Donovan Mitchell, or I guess it wasn't really the same kind of thing because Donovan Mitchell was a better player at the time, but like the Knicks signing Jalen Brunson, like I don't think they need one of those guys. I think you just have to let them progress a little bit. But getting a random guy, like I'm trying to think of, like a Joe Ingles was a good signing for them, but just younger. Like I'm trying to think of someone I'm old, I guess for the Cavs, Max Strus, like someone like that. That's just a guy that's going to come in, be tenacious, play defense, hit some threes, and like just provide space.
They got to sign the dude as a center on the Magic.
And I'll add to that, Jalen Suggs this year, his second or third year, is shooting 39%, from 3-point this season, which I think is really big, because he's going to continue to grow into the player that, we see his potential being. And my personal NBA comparison, to Jalen Suggs has been Jamal Murray. I watched them play the Hawks in Mexico City, and his streakiness and the way that he floats around the perimeter shows that he's able to, choose a shot selection that, can be hard to contest. And with consistency, with development, I think that he is going to be, one of those cats that they rely on in regards to shooting the 3 ball.
Yeah, but we'll close it out there. If you guys want us to do another Magic video, fire it in the comments, but we'll get it out. But yeah, it's teams on the rise. I'm excited to see them in the playoffs. I think that's going to kind of answer all the questions we really have with this team and see, okay, where did they go wrong come playoff time? Because it's looking like they're going to play the Knicks in the first round. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe.